How are you, fellow Agustinians? The entire CSA community wishes you and your family well. Your health and safety are our top priorities, especially at this time of crisis. In a special way, we salute your parents. In spite of the challenges brought about by the pandemic, they are still committed to make sure that education continues for their children. Hence, CSA Makati is implementing a learning continuity plan that measures up to the expectation of making learning a continue amidst the pandemic while still pivoting with its avowed vision, mission, and core values. Called the Hybrid Learning Plan, or HLP, it employs an approach that finds the right mix of all possible learning possibilities for students. The synergy afforded by this approach allows for a flexibility that is crucial in this time of constant flux. CSA drummed up awareness on the HLP by releasing a series of publicity materials on CSA's Facebook page. These include April 22, an overview of the HLP, May 14, essential elements of the HLP, May 28th and June 3rd, frequently asked questions on the HLP, June 13th, the rector's address on the HLP and the role of parents, and June 11th, memo on offline learning packets. In furtherance of our understanding of the HLP, this orientation material will focus on the salient elements of the HLP not yet expounded in the documents previously mentioned. It discusses how the high school department will implement CSA's learning continuity plan. The orientation shall focus on these essential facets of academics: curriculum, instruction, and assessment. Curriculum. CSA is implementing an enriched curriculum with the most essential learning competencies, or MELCs, identified by the Department of Education. The MELCs guide teachers in ensuring the achievement of K-12 curricular standards despite the challenges of the pandemic. The enriched curriculum highlights the Catholic tradition of the school within the framework of Augustinian education and spirituality. The curriculum is embedded with formation standards that pivot on the school's vision, mission, and core values. These, then, are streamed through all the K-12 subjects and offerings. These subjects and offerings are the same as those offered in the recent academic years. The medium of instruction is English. For Araling Panlipunan Elementary and Filipino in elementary and high school, Filipino is the medium of instruction. The primary learning resource is the Learning Playlist. It is our version of an instructional module. It is a self-contained and self-sufficient unit of instruction that guides learners to achieve a set of learning goals. Learning playlists contain 1. A sequence of tasks anchored on competencies and standards, and 2. Instructions that integrate varied resources, differentiated activities, and meaningful assessments. The idea is that a learner is afforded 1. Choice and voice through the multiple pathways and mode of deliveries relevant to achieve the learning targets, and 2. Pace and space through flexibility in schedule and domain of engagement, whether online or offline. Time allotment for subjects will vary by department. The early childhood education will allot 30 minutes daily for circle time and 2 hours daily for learning playlists. Elementary department will allot 2.5 to 3.5 daily for learning playlists and 1 to 1.5 hours daily for routine activities. The high school department will allot 4 hours daily for the learning playlist and 15 minutes daily for homeroom. The class program is configured in such a way that makes a learner focus on one learning area per day. Thus, the learning cycle is completed in a week for ECE and in 2 weeks for both elementary and high school. A key feature of the class program is the daily advisor and teacher check-ins with students. These are intentional, brief encounters that aim to help establish a line of communication with the learners and their parents, to instill a sense of normalcy among learners through the online learning community, and to be a means to understand the learners' needs. All learning playlists come with the teacher's contact information. Instruction. The hybrid nature of our learning continuity plan allows the adherence to varied remote teaching approaches and learning delivery modes. Hybridization is the synergy of the best and useful features of remote teaching and learning strategies to guarantee that no student will be left behind. Teachers may engage students either synchronously or asynchronously. The synchronous approach means that all learners engage in the same place and at the same time. An asynchronous approach affords the learners to engage with the content at his own pace. The choice of approach to use will always be guided by the learner's needs. Both synchronous and asynchronous approaches are possible with the use of the school's learning management systems, or LMS. In the LMS, the online learning materials, or OLM, are curated. The OLMs are teacher-made self-learning kits consisting of systematically sequenced learning materials. OLMs include the learning playlist and supplementary learning materials such as handouts, rubric sheets, assessments, and the like. Additionally, engagement may also be online or offline. Online learning is basically education using the internet. Learners with reliable connectivity can work on learning playlist activities that use online or digital resources. Conversely, offline learning, in our context, is the use of printed self-learning modules. The provision for offline learning is a recognition of issues related to connectivity and an accommodation of varied learning needs. Essentially, all learning playlists, whether for online or offline learners, are the same. As mentioned earlier, at the core of every learning playlist's design are the ideas of choice, voice, pace, and space. Offline learners will receive offline learning packets, or OLP. Just like OLMs, these are teacher-made, self-learning kits consisting of systematically sequenced materials for learning. The only difference is that these are printed and delivered to the learner who has no connectivity. The School Bus Operators Association, or SBOA, is a recognized transportation service of the school and is offering its services to deliver these OLPs. Assessment. The pivot to authentic assessments for remote learning calls for a rethinking of the traditional assessment system and grading policy. While we wait for the refinement of DepEd's assessment policy, CSA's direction is to shift towards an alternative scale or grading that emphasizes progress towards standards based on quality criteria. The current setup of learning requires an assessment policy that communicates learning as an ongoing process. The HLP is an evolving document. It is being refined systematically and deliberately to complement the needs of our learners. This is the 7th document on the school's learning continuity plan, and it is our fervent desire that you see the forest for the trees, that we are doing our best for our learners, your children. Thank you for the continued trust in the Augustinian education. We are looking forward to forging stronger alliances with you, our dear parents, for the sake of your children, our learners.